Well, greetings YouTube, LMS Tactical here on New Year's Eve 2013. I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. And I want to share a little story with you. It's a police story. And I was just thinking as I was walking the boys taking the boys for their last walk of the year, that it's so hard to believe that 25 years have gone by since this happened. And here's what happened. I had to finish the video in my truck, man. I literally, this always happens. I mean, I run into people and they want to talk, and it's like an hour and a half later since I was standing on the beach there trying to tell this story. Here's what happened. And the caveat, I love that word, is, you know, this is a true story, and it'll be included in my book if I ever get off my ass and finish it. But it's New Year's Eve today, and I just think I need to get it out of my system. And, you know, like I always say, I could get hit by a truck tomorrow and die, and nobody would ever know this story, and it is kind of an important story, and you'll see why in a second. 25 years ago, I was a young cop working in the Southeast Division of Los Angeles Police Department, and that's in Watts, in the Watts area. I know. And, you know, I can't remember, man. I think I had about 7 or 8 years on, 9, whatever. But in those days, and it's probably the same now, you know, you didn't get, the fucking sun is right in the way of this camera. You didn't get, you know, you didn't get the holidays off until you had some serious time on. So you know, young guys and, you know, people that didn't have much time on, you could rest assured you were going to be working, you know, New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve and Christmas and all that shit, New Year's Day. So I had finally earned enough time, man, where it was like, you know, this was going to be the first New Year's Eve that I ever had off. And I was really excited, and my wife at the time and I had made plans to go out, and we were going to party our asses off. And this was a big deal because it was New Year's Eve, man. Big fucking, you know, exciting thing, man. And I was telling my partner, you know, all during the watch that, man, no overtime tonight. I don't give a fuck what happens, man. If a fucking alien ship comes down and they want to make contact, we're going to fucking not see it because I got to get off on time, man. We got this whole party thing planned and blah, blah, blah. And that's what we were going to do. So we go out there and we make an early arrest or whatever it was we did. We were looking pretty good, man. I mean, we were actually looking good. It looked like we were going to make it. And we almost did, man. So what happened was, you know, it was about 8:15 and we were heading back to the station. We were working like a mid-PM watch or something. I can't remember the hours, but we were heading back to the station, and we even logged off of the computer so we wouldn't get any more calls. We were, you know, trying to get really quick so we could get up in the station there and change clothes and get the fuck out of Dodge, man. I mean, I was taking the shotgun out of the rack, the whole bit. And we were only a few blocks away from the station. We were on Main Street and 100 and something. And that's when the whole thing happened, man. And here's what happened. Because now it was getting closer. The incident happened at 8:30 that night, that New Year's Eve. And basically, we were sitting at a red light facing, so we were facing westbound. And there was a lady, an older lady in an old car making a left turn to go westbound on the same street we were on. And coming south was this 1970 something, you know, baby blue, you know, early 1970s baby blue Nova, a Chevy Nova. And this old lady went to make her left turn, and she had the right of way, and this dude was hauling ass, and he locks up the brakes, skids, and slams right into this lady. I mean, really, you know, he damaged the car pretty good, knocked her all over the fucking inside of the car. It was a pretty serious crash, and it was right in front of our faces, and I'm like, fuck, man, no way. And, you know, and we're thinking, holy shit, I hope there's a traffic unit available that can take this call, you know, because we need to get the fuck out of there, man. I got like 75 miles to drive to get home. And, you know, we go code 6 on this fucking, you know, traffic accident, requesting a traffic unit, blah, blah, blah. But the dude that hit her was this big old fucking gigantic Samoan dude. And he's in this car, and he starts to roll. You know, he's looking at us, and we're telling him, "Hey, man, pull over." And he's nodding his head like, "Yeah, I'm going to pull over." And I had this instinct, man. I told my partner who was getting out of the car, I said, "No, get back in the car, man. This guy's going to fucking run." No, he's pulling over. I go, "No, man, get in the car. He's going to run. I can feel it." Sure enough, at that second, this guy fucking floors it southbound. And, you know, the chase is on now. So, you know, we requested an ambulance for this lady and additional units, and we took off after this dude. And we're heading southbound Main Street, 8:30 p.m., New Year's Eve. You know, this is, like I said, this is in their 80s, probably about 87, I think, 86 or 87. I think it was 87. And, you know, we are going balls to the wall after this guy because it's a hit-and-run felony. You know, this lady, as far as we were concerned, the lady was hurt. That she looked like she was hurt, and it was a serious crash. What we don't know is that the car that he's in is stolen. It's a stolen car. This guy's on parole. He's like a fucking third striker. Dusted out of his mind on PCP, which was very common back in those days. So he's impervious to pain and psyched out. You know, had a rap sheet a mile long. This guy was a bad fucking dude. And he's hauling ass in this fucking car. And we're chasing him, man, and it's on. And to make a long story short, we're approaching Imperial Highway. Imperial Highway is a main street when it's got east and west traffic, and we can see that the light is red for us and for the suspect. So there's wall-to-wall fucking traffic. And 99% of the time when you're chasing somebody like that, they're going to fucking make a right turn. You know, they're not just going to barrel right through fucking traffic like that. But this dude, you could see him. He looks up in his mirror, and he stepped on it, man. The fucking car dipped down a little bit. A puff of smoke came out. He was going fucking maximum speed. So were we. We were on his ass. And when we realized that this dude wasn't going to stop, he was going to fucking blow that intersection, man. Everything just completely slowed the fuck down, like just literally, like into slow fucking, like a shooting, you know, where you could see every fucking detail. And, you know, we lock up the brakes, we're sliding along, man, and there's no stopping this fucking black and white. It's like we're on ice because we're just going too fast. And this guy's accelerating. He's punching through. And I'll never fucking forget it. And that's why I'm telling you this story, because I think of this guy every single New Year's Eve at 8:30. I think of this guy's family. Not the guy I'm chasing, but what happened next was, it was unbelievable. I mean, he wasn't the first or the last guy that I would see die, but it was just the way it all went down, man. You had to kind of be there. There was this old brown fucking car, and I've got pictures of this scene, and I'm probably not going to include them out of respect for the family who may see this video someday. But as everything you can imagine, it slows down into frame by frame. All the sound goes away just about. You know, you could hear the fucking siren went down to it. Instead of, you know, it was really loud at first, and then it just gets into a woo, woo. And I see the fucking everything at once, man. You got crystal clear vision. This brown car is coming from my left to right, entering into the intersection. And your brain does the math very quick, and I just knew absolutely there was no way that this guy was going to survive this. He was going to take the full brunt of this fucking blue car, this Nova. And I remember looking at him. He was a male Hispanic in a white t-shirt, and he didn't have a seatbelt on. I could see it crystal fucking clear. My last thought before he died was, I wonder if he's going to look over and see this car that's getting ready to kill him. And what happened next was, you know, the Nova hit him in the firewall, which is like the dashboard area, just in front of the dashboard of that brown car. And it literally cut through that brown car as if it was a hot fucking cube of butter. It just sliced right through it. And the dude, the guy in the innocent guy driving down the street, you know, he just, in slow motion, he fucking lurched to the right. And I watched him fly across his car, and he hit his head on the doorpost on the passenger side. Right? So, you know, like right up on this thing here, you know, where the door is. And all of this is happening at once because now we're sliding into the intersection. And you hear other cars fucking, there's there's a bunch of fucking cars, and you can hear impacts happening. And the fucking suspect's car is fucking flipping around and rolling and hitting fucking other cars. Other cars are hitting cars that are sliding after being hit. It's like a fucking something out of a Steve McQueen movie. And the whole time, I'm just bracing myself, because you can't look around and see everything at once. You're just hearing impacts. And I'm waiting for our impact. I'm thinking there's got to be somebody's heading for us, and I just can't see it. It never did happen. Everything came to a stop. And, we were like the only car in the intersection that didn't get hit. It looked like a fucking airplane crash. Big Cadillac was up on the sidewalk. Big black dude was, later on, he was walking around in shock. I remember talking to him. He didn't know what the fuck happened. There was a family, of course everybody's black except for the guy that was in the brown car and the dude we're chasing. But there was a man and a woman and some kids in an old fucking, Lincoln Continental or something. Big old fucking car. And their car was all fucked up and on fire in the front of the car. And gasoline was leaking and heading toward that car from one of the other cars that was fucked up. And, I run over and, I stick my head in there and they're screaming. The kids are screaming at the top of it, just like in shock. Ah! The guy's just sitting there. You gotta get out of the car. You gotta get out of the car. Sir, you gotta get out of the car. The car's gonna catch on fire. And I'm seeing this fucking gas get closer and I'm smelling this shit and I know we're gonna all die. They won't fucking move. Finally, I yell at the top of my lungs, get the fuck out of this car. And it just kind of shook them into alertness and they just filed out of the car in an orderly fashion. It was pretty cool. It just kind of woke them up. Now, the whole time this is happening, man, the blue car that we were chasing is literally about 2 feet tall. It had just been squished into oblivion. It had taken so much damage. The engine of the brown car, I forgot to tell you this, when he hit that fucking firewall, or in front of the firewall, and cut through the brown car, I swear to God, I saw it with my own eyes, the whole engine fly out of that brown car, and it was still running. The fan belt was on, the fan blade was turning, everything was perfectly running. And that engine ended up about a half block away laying next to a fire hydrant. I have a picture of that engine sitting there just like somebody unplugged it, like a giant, and put it down there. So, I could go on and on about this dude, man. The suspect, we just assumed was dead because all you could see was a foot sticking out of the wreckage. Long time later, with all the firemen there and everything, man, I was walking by the car and I saw the foot move. They ended up spending an hour cutting this car out, into pieces. The dude actually lived. Literally, he had got knocked onto the front of the floor of the car. And he was such a big dude, he survived it. It was like squished around him. Broke every bone in his body, was in a fucking full body cast for like a year before he could be tried for murder. But what happened, though, was at some point I had to go over to the guy that died, and I had to get his identification out of his wallet. And there he was sitting there, no seatbelt on, and, he had an open beer. He obviously was New Year's Eve, and he probably was to listen to the radio and shit, because, there was cassette tapes and shit that had flown all over the place. And he was just sitting there with his butt on the floor and his back to the door, and his neck broken completely fucking in half, man. He had his chin on his chest. And, when I went through his wallet, I pulled his wallet out, and I was, of course, he has pictures of kids and everything in the wallet, and I just remember thinking to myself, my God, man, it's New Year's Eve, and these, his wife and his kids, they have no idea that their dad's sitting here dead in this fucking car, man. That's my story. I think of him every New Year's Eve, and I feel sorry about what happened. I kind of wish we didn't chase that guy. But that was our job. I've gone through every conceivable way to think about this whole thing. But I also think of his kids. They're all grown up now, and they probably don't remember their father. All they know is that their dad died because the police were chasing somebody. They don't know anything else. It was weird. People weren't suing everybody in those days, and I don't remember there ever being a lawsuit out of that. I almost wish there would have been. I know that sounds weird, but it's almost like, just if you take away anything from this fucking story, life is precious, man. And that could have been your mom or your wife or your husband or your daughter or your son driving through the intersection. You just never know what's coming, man. You don't know when your time is coming. You tell somebody, hey, I'm going to run up to the store and get a fucking 6-pack of Diet Coke or whatever, and you may not come home because you don't know what's coming your way. So life is precious, man. Remember the ones you love. It's going to be 2014 after midnight tonight. Happy New Year to everybody. if by chance that somebody in that guy's family ever finds this video and says, hey man, that was my dad, you know, I'm very sorry about what happened to your father. And here comes the police now stopping to look at me. That's really weird. The freaking cops are wondering why I'm sitting here making a video. I don't know if you can see the cop car over there. There he goes. But yeah, that's the, I'm always getting jacked by the man. You know, if by chance one of you guys that is related to that person who lost a father out there in Watts back then, you know, you're surfing YouTube now. You know, I'm sorry about what happened, man. I mean, of course the blame lies with the guy that took off. And, you know, oddly enough, I mean, if this is not typical, the lady that he hit that we thought was hurt back there, do you realize that she took off and left the scene and we never saw her again? Nobody was ever able to find her. I mean, how fucked up is that? And I never did get home that night. Christ, we worked until well into the next day on that fucking that crime scene. So I don't know, man. Happy New Year. I'm sharing that with you. Getting it off my chest, man. I wish everybody a happy, prosperous New Year and a healthy one. And you know, if you're going out tonight, man, don't let your pride stop you from having a designated driver, man. Going on. Anyways, that's it. LMS Tactical out.